How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffle Rowlett and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. So today we're going to be talking about the 40 things you missed in the Pokemon Legends Arceus trailer and official website posting. So before we get into that, guys, here's the comment of the day. This was posted by one of you lads out there who answered that question from yesterday. But here we have a new question of the day, guys, which is, what is a feature you really want to see in Legends Arceus? Let me know in the comment section down below and let's get started with number one. Now right here is some gameplay that was seen in the Japanese trailer that you may have missed. That shows basically the new battle system and how it works and how you get priority multiple times. This is all based on your stats in the game. You can see the Oshawott is able to attack 2 times in a row, but we also have some gameplay that we didn't see that actually shows how the game works when it comes to catching, where you can basically just, like when it comes to catching, you just throw the Pokeball, but also when you throw a Pokemon out, you can just throw your Pokemon out to start a battle with other Pokemon. You don't need to go into a battle screen. As you may have noticed, maybe, they have actually now removed the old menu sprites of the Pokemon that we used to have and replaced all of them in Legends Arceus and BDSP with these new 3D ones. A feature that is returning that was present in Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is that Pokemon have different weights and heights depending on which one you catch. And this also plays into the new Pokédex system where you will be able to and required to observe certain Pokemon multiple times. And also here you can see that the top 6, on the top there's 6 different regions listed, with the first one being the entire Hisui region, and then there being another 5 areas for you to unlock and explore. So to start with the game will actually feature 5 areas for us to explore, and also we'll be able to do different tasks and catch Pokemon with different weights and heights, etc. to complete the Pokédex, and the Pokédex will have sections for each part of the region with different Pokemon for you to get. There's a new item called the Smoke Ball, which is essentially something you have to craft, and this is an item that's used to reduce the visibility for wild Pokemon to see you, so basically making it, possible for you to actually hide yourself using them, similar to how Repel would work, making it basically more easily for you to achieve more stealthy catches. The names of the protagonists that you're playing as in Pokemon Legends Arceus are Rei for the male character and Akari for the female, which is also another Japanese word for light, the same way dawn, like in English, means like the first sight of light in the day, and her Japanese name, Dawn's name, is Hikari, which also is another word for light. So basically, Akari is another word for that. Now, Rei, I'm not really sure about, but yeah. Pokemon Legends Arceus will not feature multiplayer battles. This was confirmed on the official website where it says the game will feature trading, but there will not be any multiplayer battles you can do with other players. When exploring the region, you'll be able to go around and explore all the region not right away, but you'll only be able to do it in chunks at a time, which is sort of sad, as I was, sort of expecting the game to give us the full freedom to go out and explore. However, if the game isn't fully open world and allowing us to go anywhere at any time, it would be nice if the game then included more challenges and things to do in these specific areas, like little dungeons and stuff. Also, this system could work really well for future Generation 9 Pokemon game and Generation 10 and whatnot, where gyms would be featured, because this game definitely will not have gym leaders and gyms and stuff, but if we have a game that does have those things, then it would make sense that it features a system like this where you can explore chunks of the map at a time, but those chunks are open themselves. So maybe a singular chunk can feature 3 different gyms or 2 gyms or something like that, and you go to those gyms in whatever order you want to. That would actually be a good way to them, for them to do this and still keep a consistency in the game, so to say. The download size for Pokemon Legends Arceus will be 12.6 gigabytes or about a 13 gigabyte total, as you will have an update at launch day. And the game's official eShop page does list the game that will have actually essentially the option for 2 players to play the game on local or online multiplayer together. So there may be a similar multiplayer feature to the feature we saw in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, where you can pop in with a friend to play together in the world with the Joy-Cons. One takes one Joy-Con, one the other, you can play together. So that may be a feature that may be present in this game as well. So if you guys remember the leaked image of Legends Arceus from about 6 months ago, it featured 3 images, right? So we can now confirm that Weirdeer and the Huijin Braviary were those featured in that image. But there is a 3rd image in there, the last image, that shows a Pokemon that is used for climbing up mountains. Now, Braviary is used for flying, and of course also we have Weirdeer for I guess Weirdeer is there for riding across the land in general, and then of course we have Basculegion for water and surfing, but we don't know what we have for climbing, and that looks to be this thing right here. Now, some people are saying that it's going to be a Nuzleaf or perhaps a Shiftry, so we don't really know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Also, that leaked set of images also featured this weird looking boss Pokemon. We still don't know what that is, but in a leak that I covered a day or so ago that turned out to actually be accurate almost to 100%, they mentioned the inclusion of something called King Battles, sort of like a boss battle system. So this could be that thing. If you want to check out that video, here it is. It's on the screen right now. Go check that video out as I describe that system a bit more there, and the leak is covered there, so you can check out what it's all about. So Basculin has gotten a new evolution, right, with Basculegion. However, there are two versions of Basculin. There's a red and a blue version. So the question then is, will we see another one getting an evolution form as well that is, blue, right? Also, if you look at the fins of Basculegion, its fins match that of the blue, the blue Basculin rather than the red one. So will we see a blue one, like a blue Basculegion that has fins of the red Basculin, right? Like, will we see that? Also, man, saying blue Basculegion, gets my mouth all confused, but yeah, what do you guys think about this? Speaking of Basculegion, did you guys notice by any chance that Basculegion's body sort of resembles the body of a very particular Pokemon, specifically the fossil Pokemon Dracovish from Sword and Shield? Now, their bodies look oddly similar in color, and we know that there is some sort of connection between Galar and the Hisui region, thanks to the new professor who is seemingly from Galar, and he's traveled the world bringing different Pokemon with him. So would it be hard to imagine that he brought a Basculin or a Basculegion to the Galar region from Hisui and let it out into the wild, only for them to eventually go extinct, and in the future their fossils couldn't be matched properly, so they ended up creating a Pokemon such as Dracovish and its fellow brothers and sisters. Is that maybe a possibility? What do you guys think? Speaking of Galar, did you guys notice that Galarian Weezing's design is actually present on the Galaxy Expedition Team's HQ? And overall, like, the design of the building has a more industrial British design to it. This all makes sense if the game is based on Japan in those early stages of industrialization, as this was also the period when British and American sailors and traders would make their way into Japan, and parts of like that part up there specifically where, the Hisui region is based on, which is Hokkaido, does kind of fit well with that. There seems to be a place that resembles Spear Pillar and another one that also looks very similar to it, but yet somewhat different, that are present in the game. There's also a place in the distance in the ocean that looks kind of weird with these bones. We're going to talk about this a bit later, but it seems like Spear Pillar is present, and who knows what kind of connections to Arceus we might find here. There is the presence of hairstylists and also shops in Pokemon Legends Arceus, as seen by the building here with the scissors on it. This might be where we go to buy our clothes and do our hair and change our hairstyles and things. So yeah, we'll be able to actually customize our character right in this place, most likely in the village. In the distance here, we see seemingly an early version of Canalave City, which is also present on the new Legends Arceus Hisui map, which you can see right here. So next has got to be all the new characters. First is the Professor Laventon, who looks oddly similar to Charon from Platinum, like the evil boss guy. He could definitely be like his predecessor. Also, if you look at the Professor, he's wearing a hat that looks like a clay doll design. Next, we've got Commander Kamado, who is a distant ancestor of the future Professor Rowan. You can clearly see the resemblance. And of course, finally, is Captain Celine, who is clearly an ancestor of Cyrus. I mean, come on, it's undeniable. And who knows, we will probably see ancestors in different parts of Hisui of all the gym leaders, Elite Four, and even Champion Cynthia most likely will be present here, so we'll have to wait and see. Unless Cynthia's ancestors weren't from Sinnoh, because it is implied that Cynthia isn't from Sinnoh in the actual, original games. So maybe not Cynthia, but possibly some other gym leaders and stuff. So we don't know yet if we're going to be getting a, Huijin Rufflet, like a form of it, but given that we have a Huijin Growlithe, and most definitely will have a Huijin Arcanine present, we can pretty much assume that there will be a Huijin Rufflet as well, and who knows how many more forms are waiting to be revealed to us. Speaking of Growlithe, its design seems to be specifically based on the Chinese food dog, which makes sense because it actually fits then with the rock typing. Like, the rock typing actually fits really well then because, well, those are made out of stone and whatnot. So we can sort of estimate what the evolution could look like. But what also is interesting is that the Pokédex entry on the official page mentions that these Growlithes always stick in pairs. And this is actually really well fitting with how, kind of like something that Pokestarmie mentions, which is Komainu versus Shisa, which are basically these two Chinese food statues, which both serve as protectors of shrines and temples in Japan. The left one here being Shisa, and the right one Komainu. Shisas have closed mouths, and Komainus actually have an open mouth, and the other difference is their location, with Shisa being located in Okinawa in particular, whereas Komainu have a larger spread across all of Japan, including Hokkaido, which is what Sinnoh as well as Hisui are based on. Also, Growlithe's Japanese name is Gardie. Gardie, I don't know how to say that, like in Japanese, whatever, I just give you the English kind of version of it, but basically that means guard dog, more or less, and it's the perfect, name, the perfect connection here to Komainu is the perfect one, which is more or less also a guard dog spirit. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? And there's actually an interesting background for the Huijin Braviary. When Rufflet in the Huijin region evolves, they become Huijin Braviary. Now in the winter, this Pokemon actually flies in from somewhere farther north. It's actually like larger than the previously discovered form of Braviary and tends to live alone rather than in flocks. This fits well with a specific bird, the Steller sea eagle, that is believed to breed only in the far eastern parts of Russia. And each winter, these like many Steller sea eagles migrate from their breeding grounds to Japan, and here they're also revered and known as Owashi. And this makes sense also, as Hokkaido, which Legends Arceus' region Hisui and Sinnoh are based on, is located closest to Russia out of all of Japan, right? And also it is the coldest part of Japan, so it kind of fits well together. So here is a map comparing, like on the top here, the Sinnoh region we know of, and below the Hisui region where you can kind of locate the positions of where everything lines up. Feel free to pause the video here and like kind of look through what sort of lines up to you and what fits really well. Feel free to pause and check that out. So, interestingly enough, the tree we see in Legends Arceus looks oddly similar to the Deku tree in Ocarina of Time, but besides that, there seems to be a strange amount of connections between Galar and Hisui. The tree is an example, and the scene that we see here is oddly similar to the scenes of the Crown Tundra in Galar, and also we do have the tree there as well. And then there's also the Galarian Weezing that we see, the design of on the Galaxy HQ, and of course, the Professor's obvious origin and home region, in this game, Laventon's like actual home region. It all seems to kind of fit together, giving this indication that there's a connection between the two places. So there is this seems to be like the presence of Giratina could be made thanks to these weird wormholes that are being opened. Some are actually arguing that the evil one, like the evil thing in this game, will be Arceus, which seems to be the case, but it could also be that Giratina has something to do with this, right? Now, we don't really know yet, but the colors coming out of the wormholes are the same ones that we see during the Giratina event in Platinum games, in the Platinum game, when like Dialga and Palkia are kind of doing their little thingy to open up the wormhole and the Giratina kind of shows up. This is the same thing going on right here. Now we'll have a theory video posted about this because Eclipse put together an amazing theory and I want to cover it. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? Like, do you think the presence of Giratina could be made here thanks to these wormholes, or do you think Arceus is opening them up? So, the pre-order page for BDSP actually mentions that in-game content will be available for purchase, which could imply that there might be a DLC or other paid content in these games possibly. Now, for Legends Arceus, it seems a little bit stranger, but there is the possibility we could have DLC for this game in the future. Chatot seems to now be able to stay in constant flight rather than before, where it could land and slowly walk around, which would mean that they have now improved the animations of this game by a drastic amount compared to Sword and Shield, because Pokemon have more unique animations and seem to be more consistent. For those that are pre-ordering Legends Arceus in Japan, they're gonna get this Arceus card. Now what is interesting is that here Arceus looks sort of majestic and like kind of non-evil, like not like an evil creature, right? Perhaps its anger is specifically due to the incoming humans in the Hisui region and what damage they will cause to the ecosystem and the Pokemon and the environment. Now this would make sense as there was a whole environmental plot going on in Sword and Shield, hence why Eternatus was summoned to sort of like change things around, right? But basically this would make sense also because what we see, especially the Galarian people doing, like, well, people like Laventon, building this place and making it more industrial, clearly is going to cause a lot of pollution, right? So when you look at Galarian Weezing, it's a Pokemon that changed due to pollution, right? It changed due to pollution. So it would imply then that, hey, maybe like Arceus is pissed off at what they're doing to the region, harming the environment. Maybe that's the reason he's pissed off. But yeah, what do you guys think? So there will be customization in Legends Arceus. This was confirmed by the Hijuin Growlithe Kimono set, which is a free gift for those that pre-order Legends Arceus and will be received via the Get Via Internet feature for mystery gifts in the game. This will be available until the 9th of May in 2022 next year. There's also like a special outfit that only those that pre-order from Amazon Japan will get, which you can see right here on the screen. This one looks pretty cool as well. I do like the Growlithe one more, but what do you guys think about him? So the game actually features massively improved render distance for Pokemon compared to the past. As seen here, you can see a massive waterfall also in the distance that is still present, and loads of Pokemon on the ground as well, compared to Sword and Shield, which didn't have that long render distance. Stark Mountain is confirmed. However, it looks sort of small in this image, but it'll probably be larger once you actually explore it. But yeah, Stark Mountain is actually returning. So, the player character seems to actually be now affected by natural events such as rain. As you can see here, the clothing on the player is wet and it is noticeable. And also, it seems like you're going to be able to take somewhat fire damage if you get like fire attacks on you. And I mean, you're going to be knocked out by that and blacked out. So, we'll see how that works. But it seems like rain and probably even like snow might actually affect the player character. And you may need to wear like better clothing when going up in the further northern parts. So, it looks like you'll be able to spend time with your party in the overworld of the game and just just sit around with them and chill, similar to the Pokemon Camp feature, but without opening a second instance screen or loading into it, right? Instead, it will happen in the overworld, and seems like something you can just directly do there, which is awesome because then you can sit down, chill with your Pokemon, maybe feed them, play with them, etc., and that's going to be really fun. So we will now seemingly be able to battle in the water, even in the overworld. So as you can see right here, you're seemingly able to do this, which would be fantastic and awesome, allowing us to battle sort of anywhere, and even in the water, it's going to be fantastic. So they've actually improved the water, and now we have actual reflections in the water, not like the horrible water we had in Sword and Shield, where it just looked like it wasn't realistic at all. At least here, it's far from perfect, but it is a drastic improvement with actual reflections, and it just looks better by a million miles. The game also now features dynamic lighting and shadows, unlike Sword and Shield, so that at night you can see the lights shining in the village, and overall this is a massive improvement compared to what we used to have with the previous game. Sure, the textures still have issues, but at the end of the day, it is a drastic improvement from what we used to have. So when you take damage in Legends Arceus, you will get actually a red bar around the edges of your screen, similar to the ones you see in games like Call of Duty when you take damage in those games. And I guess once it gets too red and you get knocked out, that's it. So if you look at the map of Legends Arceus in the Hisui region, you can see little people all over it. Now, what is interesting is that the people here are specifically wearing these like interesting garments. They're wearing like the clothing that actually varies depending on what side of the map you're looking at. Those living in the northern and more western part of the region are wearing armor and clothing resembling Palkia, while those living in the more southern part and eastern part are wearing clothing that resembles Dialga, perhaps because these legendaries are sort of their deities in these different regions of the map, and they sort of like defend these two parts of the region and the people there, right? Maybe that's the reason what. And also, there might be a conflict between the people in the upper and lower part, the people that support, you know, Dialga, and the people that support like Palkia. So maybe there might be a conflict in the story right there between these different people, and we might be there to mediate between them. So an interesting thing that was noticed is that at the back of Wurmple's head, there is an added spike, which is really strange because this spike, or horn, whatever you want to call it, was not there in any other Pokemon game. Could it perhaps be a missed detail, or perhaps a regional oddity, and or change that, you know, happened maybe through its evolution? This spike or horn disappeared and was not needed anymore, or perhaps a gender difference has been added in. We don't really know just yet, but what do you guys think about this? So we can see that there is a rift in the sky above the mountains, similar to the ones that like Dialga and Palkia would make when entering into our world, and sometimes these rifts open up and seem to strike down on this mysterious and strange and large tree, and they seem to send Pokemon into an outrage. And we can also see that this is seemingly causing the tree to take damage every single time it gets struck, and is causing it to possibly die. This could be the same thing that happened to the tree over in the Crown Tundra, where we also saw another tree that had frozen over and essentially died, and there is a second tree there as well that hosted the legendary birds in it, and it seems like the same thing is going on right here. Now, what's going on? What's the deal? Why is it striking this tree in particular? There seems to be some strange connections with Galar here. There seems to be shipwrecks on the coast of the region, and again, there's this weird stone structure in the distance. Could these ships be from past humans that crashed on the region and are now going to essentially be the indigenous people that live here, the people that are wearing the Dialga and Palkia garments? Are these the people that were on these boats whenever they crashed on the island and essentially they got stranded here? So when you sneak up on Pokemon, there's this black shade added to the sides of the screen to indicate that things are getting far more tense. And finally, there seems to be clouds covering the top of Mount Coronet on the Hisui map, which indicates something is there, aka the rift from before, and perhaps something that can get us to Arceus. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's video. If you did enjoy, then drop a like down below and answer our question of the day, of course, which we asked earlier. Just answer that question, which is, what is like your most wanted thing in these games, like a feature you really want to see added into these games? Let me know. Thank you again so much for watching. My name has been Ruffle Rallet, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out and bye bye.